All right, let's dive into some of the interview questions that trip people up the most. And I'm not talking about those technical brain teasers. I mean the personal ones, the ones that sound so simple but can totally throw you off your game if you're not ready for them.
Just think about it for a second. What is your greatest success? Your biggest failure? Who's your role model? If you just felt your stomach do a little flip, hey, you're not alone. These are the exact questions that can make even the most prepared candidates just freeze.
So, what is it about these questions that feels like a trap? Well, it's that incredibly fine line between giving a genuine, interesting answer and just spouting it total cliche. Today, we're going to show you exactly how to stay on the right side of that line using some incredible insights from the Tiomi Handbook. Let's start with the core philosophy here, and it's a big one: truth over templates. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's so powerful. It means forgetting about memorizing some perfect canned answer you found online. The only way to sound authentic and be memorable is to build your answers from your own life experiences. So here's our game plan. We're going to break down how to talk about your successes and failures, figure out what interviewers are really asking about when they bring up hobbies, then we'll tackle those tricky questions about weaknesses and role models, and finally, we'll tie it all together. Sound good? Let's jump in. First up, your success and failure stories. Look, the goal here isn't just to state a fact, like, I did this. It's to tell a compelling story that actually shows who you are and how you've grown. So how do you structure that story to make it land with real impact? The key is having a framework, and a fantastic one is STAR. S is for situation, set the scene, but keep it brief, like 15 seconds. T is for task, what was the problem or the goal? A is for action. Now this is the most important part. What did you specifically do? Use I, not we. This is your hero moment. R is for result. What happened in the end? And finally, L is for learning. This is absolutely critical for failure stories. What did you take away? This structure, it turns a long, rambling story into a sharp, powerful narrative. And when you're picking which stories to tell, you've got to keep these tips in mind. Pick something recent, and make sure it's focused on what you did. And please, avoid talking about just getting good grades. It's just not that compelling. For failures, your goal isn't to get pity. It's to show you're resilient and you learn from things. And whatever you do, never, ever use a fake weakness, like, oh, I'm just a perfectionist. They see right through that stuff. Be real. Next up, hobbies. You know, when an interviewer asks about what you do for fun, it is not just small talk. They're actually trying to get a glimpse of who you are behind the resume. You know, what are you passionate about? What really makes you tick? So you really want to avoid those generic passive answers like scrolling on social media. Instead, try to talk about a hobby that shows some kind of growth, something where you're actively learning or getting better. The real key here is being ready for the follow-up questions. If you say you love to play chess, you better be ready to talk about your favorite opening or a recent game you played. So why do they even care? Well, for one, they're testing if you're being genuine about your interests. They're also looking for parallel qualities. You know, chess might suggest you're focused, while playing a team sport shows you're collaborative. Ultimately, they're just trying to imagine you as a person, as part of their community, and your hobbies say a lot about who you are. All right, now for the heavy hitters, ethical dilemmas and weaknesses. Phew, these questions really require a delicate dance between being honest and being strategic. You have to be genuine without accidentally raising any red flags. For ethical dilemmas, the secret is all in how you frame it. A true dilemma isn't a choice between right and wrong. That's just a test of your basic integrity. It's a choice between two competing rights. Think, loyalty to your friend versus following the rules. And a big tip? Stay away from any stories that involve crime or money, and always be ready to explain the why behind your decision. And this right here, this is a perfect illustration of the Omioli approach. These are actual handwritten notes from one of the mentors. Just look at this. No sympathy, no strengths, and prepare how are you working on them. See? This isn't some slick corporate advice. It's raw, it's real mentorship, and it's all about genuine self-improvement. So when you're talking about your weaknesses, the key is to be real, but also strategic. Pick a genuine weakness, but maybe not a total deal breaker, like I find it hard to work with other people. But the most important part, and I can't stress this enough, your answer cannot end with the weakness. It has to end with the specific, active steps you are taking to improve. That's what shows real maturity. Okay, last one. Let's talk about your role model.
This question is such a classic opportunity to show your values and what you aspire to. But man, it is so easy to fall into the trap of giving a super generic, totally uninspired answer. And here we go again with those fantastic mentor notes. You can see it right there, written in pen. No conversation killers like mom, dad, myself. And then, no common public figures. No Tata, Ambani. This is just direct, no-nonsense advice on what to steer clear of.
The focus here isn't really on who you pick, it's all about the why. You need to be prepared to talk about specific qualities or actions or even a quote from them that inspires you. That is how you turn a simple one-word answer into a really memorable conversation. So, we've walked through success and failure, hobbies, dilemmas, weaknesses, role models. What's the common thread here? What's the one thing that ties all of these answers together? Well, it's the power of your own personal story.
Look, the only way to give these kinds of authentic, compelling answers when you're under pressure is to have done the work beforehand. And that is exactly why the cornerstone of the whole The Omi process is something called the autobiography task. It's this deep, reflective exercise where you actually write out your life story. It's not for the interviewer, it's for you. It's how you uncover the themes and the values and the key moments that make you who you are.
And this brings us to what might be the most powerful single takeaway from this entire guide. It's not about memorizing 50 different answers for 50 different questions. It's about deeply understanding a handful, maybe 6 to 8, of your most important experiences, your master stories. Think about it. A single story about leading a project in college could be used to answer questions about leadership, success, teamwork, or problem solving. It's about being strategic with your own truth.
Remember, an interview isn't an interrogation. It's a conversation. It's your chance to tell your story. And by doing this self-reflection and preparing your master stories, you can walk into that room with confidence instead of anxiety. So the only question left is, what story are you going to tell?